sometimes when people meet my daughter, they say,
"Why, hello, what's your name?"
And then she tells them her name, Cleo. That's her name, Cleo. And then sometimes these people say to me,
"She's so beautiful."
and I say, thank you.
"Where's she from?"
China, I say.
"Are you teaching her Chinese?"
Somehow this is a big concern to everyone that I teach my daughter Chinese. No, I say.
"Oh."
Not yet.
"Oh."
And then if this person has adopted a child from China herself, she says,
"Are you teaching her anything about China?"
and I say, yes, of course. We have thousands of books about China and Chinese art on the wall. And we watch Mulan like all the time. All the time. And then because I still feel bad, what kind of bad mother would adopt their child from China and not teach them Chinese? Mandarin is actually the appropriate response. Mandarin, I say. And, I have a son, Cooper. He's 12 and he's biological. And, if we taught my daughter Chinese but didn't have Cooper learn, it would be like he's our biological kid and she's our adopted kid. And we don't want that. This question invariably gives people all sorts of permission.
"Your son is biological?"
Yes.
"If you have a biological child, then why adopt?"
Okay, I hate this question. And by this point, I hate the person. But, oh well, what can I do? Everyone's always so polite. It was just something we wanted to do.
"Did they get along?"
What?
"Your son and daughter, do they get along?"
Okay, do your son and daughter get along? Would you say this to anyone with a normal family? Wait a minute. My family is a normal family. Yes, they get along. Most of the time.
"That's good. Did you go to China to get her?"
She's Chinese. Where else would we get her from? Yes, we did.
"Did your son go with you then?"
Yes, he did.
"That must have been a wonderful experience for him."
Actually, he got kind of sick of it. There was one point where he refused to get off the bus. I refused. Those were his exact words. I had to get back on that bus and tell him if he didn't get off the stupid bus, I would not buy him Pokemon cards from the store we were about to go into. And this threat actually got my sweet boy to get off the dang bus. Yes, he loved it.
How interesting. An adopted Chinese daughter and a biological son? Good for you. Good for you.
Thank you? Then, this is what kids say.
There's no way he's her brother.
Of course he's her brother.
But they don't look alike.
She's adopted.
What does adopted mean?
Okay, who are the parents who have not explained adoption to their kids at this point? Can I have a word with you? Can I not be expected to explain this to strange children on the playground in front of my own child who gets a little confused and freaked out when people talk about this in front of her? You know what? Why don't you ask your mommy about adoption?
I know what adoption means. It means you're not her real mom.
Go away. Go away.
So, wait. You have a daughter from China and a biological son. So it's not that you're infertile.
Okay, I am not gonna talk about my fertility with near strangers.
You have a daughter from China and a biological son. So how's that working out for you?
We're just like every other family.
Well, no, actually, you're not.
There was actually one time where Cleo was talking to me and she said that she was worried about all the other kids in China and that she was worried that their parents wouldn't find them like we found her. But what she didn't know is that not all babies come from orphanages in China. So I knew what I had to do. I sat her down and I told her that sometimes babies come out of the tummies of their mommies, and that in fact, her brother came out of my belly and she came out of another woman's belly from China. And she looked at me and she said, "Mommy, I wish I came out of your tummy." So I sat her down and we talked about it, and then she went to go play. And then when I went to tuck her into bed, she looked at me and said, "I wish Cooper came from China." And I thought, well, that's one way of leveling the battleground. And then I told her that even though she didn't come out of my belly, I'm still her mama, and she's still my baby bird. And that seems to work for her, for me, for her brother, and for her father. It really does.
Man, unbelievable. First words out of the mouth. Are you being a good girl for mommy? I shouldn't even be surprised. They all say it. Baristas, salespeople. Is Daddy giving Mommy a break? Why would Sandy be any different? So, I yell at him. Hey, fat boy, she doesn't have a mother! Okay, I say nothing. It is my job to educate people, and I had never wanted to be the poster child for gay parenting. I just wanted a child. Growing up, I knew I was never going to have a wife and kids when my dad couldn't get tickets to the annual revival. So I cried and sang all the parts of my room for 3 days. When Stephen and I decided we want to have a baby, our friends, both gay and straight, tried to be supportive. A baby? Don't you have a suede couch? Isn't it hard to raise a child in a normal family? So, the first thing we had to do was find an egg donor and a surrogate. The agency that we were working with matched us up with Donna, a perky lesbian from Long Beach. She'd had 2 children already and just wanted to bring them into this brave new world we live in. We have a bizarre first date with Donna and her girlfriend at Starbucks, where we try to explain our whole life story in about 2 hours. 6 lattes later, feeling happy and jittery, and decided to move forward. The egg donor hunt was a little more tricky because we were looking at photos and profiles, and I was fighting for looks, he was fighting for brains. I mean, we live in Los Angeles. If she doesn't find a date, Steven can sit in a room and they can do calculus for fun. Finally, we find donor 6247, and 16 eggs are extracted, she gets paid, and we never hear from her again. Next is we have to go to the fertility center. We get taken to 2 separate deposit closets. You get the picture, and the nurse hands me a specimen cup the size of a big gulp and says, "Get to it." Sometimes, I swear. Steven knocks on my door a minute later and says he's finished. I start feeling anxious. I tell him I need a little support. He says our parking meter will run out in about 5 minutes. That does the trick. 72 hours later, the egg is transplanted into Donna's womb, and we hold her breath for 10 days. Now, a few days pass, and I get a call from work, and Steve's crying. Now, Steven cries at Little House on the Prairie, so I don't know if we're pregnant, not pregnant, or Pa burned the barn down. Finally, he settles down and says we're pregnant, and we promise not to tell anyone. And, well, we immediately break that promise. We talk to Donna at least 2 times a day, and while she is the most responsible person I know, I still get visions of her doing bumps or, meth or tequila shooters in the morning. It's a long 9 months. My latest fear is that when the baby is born, the doctor will hand the baby to Donna and not us. And we didn't need to make that connection first. Finally, the day arrives, and after 4 hours of bad hospital coffee, the contractions start. And as Donna's beginning to push, my inner a-hole comes out, and I remind the doctor for the 10th time that the baby comes to us, not her. I just want to make sure that's very clear for everyone. My goodness. Steven actually wanted to be part of the birth, and he actually got to catch the baby while she was being delivered. The nurse wraps up my baby in a blanket and hands her to me, and I get to hold our baby daughter for the first time. And as I look down at Donna, she's sweaty and snotty and smiling, tears rolling down her face. And I hand her our child, as it should be. She made us a family. Most of the time, we feel just like any normal family, except for those "where's mommy" moments come. And as I look at my now 3-year-old daughter, I think to myself, it's my turn to show her what a brave new world we live in. So as I lift her off of Santa's lap, I say, there isn't one. She doesn't have a mother. She just has 2 people who love her more than anyone ever could. And that's her daddy and her papa. My little daughter chimes in, that's what makes me so special. And just when I think the moment can't get any better, the little boy behind us bursts into tears. I'm talking about bursts. And says to his mommy, I only have a daddy. I want a papa too. Brave new world. Brave new world.